After my natural delivery, I was diagnosed with pelvic relaxation that left me with almost no muscle tone down there. My husband, whose size was completely mismatched with my condition, refused to sleep with me anymore. When my father-in-law found out, he cornered me in the bathroom with a dark, knowing look. He confessed to suffering from acromegaly and suggested we might be a perfect physical match. That evening, I made a point of putting on a pair of black sheer stockings, but my husband, Gordon Rudd, claimed that he had a lot to deal with at work, so he grabbed his pillow and went to the study. I was so upset that I was on the verge of tears. The baby's already 3 months old, and you've only touched me once since then. I have needs too. Don't you know you have a problem? Be please just satisfy me this once. I'll squeeze tighter this time. Tighter my foot. Give me a break. You're too loose for me to feel anything. I get more out of my hand, and you'd better take my advice and have Dad take a look at you as soon as possible. As he walked away without hesitation, I could no longer hold back my tears. In the end, I could only blame myself. After all, I had no right to resent Gordon. My husband and I used to be deeply in love. We had always been satisfyingly intimate. 3 months ago, I gave birth to twins through natural delivery. My birth canal tore during labor. I needed more than a dozen stitches. After that, everything down there became unbearably loose. Our intimacy took a massive hit. My husband slept with me only once after the birth, then flatly refused to do it again. These past few weeks, I had been making do with eggplants, cucumbers and stuff, but as big and thick as those things were, they could not compare to a real, warm man. If anything, they only made my cravings stronger. That night, I was so desperate I swallowed my pride and begged my husband again. However, not only did he refuse me outright, he once again told me to find time to see his father for treatment as soon as possible. My father-in-law, Mark Rudd, was a gynecology specialist at a top-tier local hospital. He was incredibly skilled. People even called him a miracle worker in gynecology. He was my father-in-law after all. How could I, as his daughter-in-law, possibly go to him with a problem like that? Even though Mark was nearly 50, he was strikingly handsome. He always wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses that made him look refined and scholarly. He kept himself in excellent shape too. His body was firm and muscular, radiating a kind of mature masculine charm. Ever since Gordon stopped touching me, I had fantasized about Mark more than once. If he were really the one examining me for that condition, I would probably lose control and humiliate myself beyond belief. If that had happened, I would be too ashamed to even show my face in this house. While I was lost in my tangled thoughts, the sounds of intimacy drifted faintly through my in-laws' room next door. The noises were unmistakably heated. It was obvious that Mark had Janet pinned beneath him. He was thrusting hard, as Janet's breathless gasps and soft moans continued through the wall. I actually found myself feeling envious and jealous. If only I were the one underneath Mark. The thought sent what was left of my smoldering desire roaring back to life and burning hotter than ever. I could not help squeezing my thighs together and rubbing them against each other for friction. Just then, raised voices suddenly came from the room next door. Janet was loudly protesting. Mark's voice followed. He was coaxing her. I was stunned. Apparently, Mark was so vigorous that Janet could not handle it anymore. She refused to continue, no matter how much he lowered his voice and begged her. You're enormous, and you go on for over an hour every time. If you really want it that badly, go find a prostitute. God, over an hour. That must feel incredible. Some people were dying of thirst while others drowned. Mark's size and stamina were astonishing, yet Janet treated it like a burden. Meanwhile, I was empty and aching with need, yet Gordon would rather take care of himself than touch me even once. The world really was not fair. With a sigh, I climbed out of bed and padded miserably to the guest bathroom in the living room. Standing in front of the mirror, I looked at myself. My skin was fair and smooth. I had a body with curves that turned heads. Anyone who saw me would call me a beauty. Yet, despite my perfect appearance, my husband paid no attention. I was left to rely on myself. I stood in front of the mirror, lifted one leg, and bit my lip. I started pleasuring myself. When Janet had suggested that Mark find a prostitute, I wished I could just rush in and tell him not to bother looking, and that he should just come to me.